Ready to shine inside out? Welcome to Polished Beauty Podcast, where ambition meets empowerment. We talk business, beauty, brain, body. I am your host, Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon and OBGYN. Let's get polished. Hi everyone, this is Dr. Daisy Ayim. I am so excited to discuss this episode with you guys. We're going to explore the transformative power of sleep. The transformative power of sleep. I cannot emphasize that enough. We take sleep for granted. It's a non-negotiable when it comes to your beauty, your brain function, your body wellness. You need your sleep. So we're going to talk about from high-tech sleep tools like smart mattresses and sleep tracking apps to practical rituals that reset your circadian rhythm. We're going to discuss circadian rhythm so you understand what that terminology actually means. And this episode really breaks down how the modern woman can sleep like her life depends on it. Because guess what? It does. So let's go. Here's the truth. You cannot unwork a bad night's sleep. You certainly can meditate it away. You definitely cannot diet through it. And you cannot hustle past it. Sleep is essential and it's something that you need. In today's world, we glorify being booked and busy. You hear it all the time. I'm booked and busy, but burnout isn't a badge of honor. So you do not want to be booked and busy and you are tired and sleep deprived. So sleep is not optional. It's foundational. You need it. And today we're talking about optimizing it like the polished powerhouses that we are, okay? From biohacking bedtime routines to smart tech that knows your sleep patterns better than you do. Whether you're running the boardroom or household, either way it goes, both your brain, your beauty, your body need this conversation. So let's get right into sleep optimization. This podcast, we're going to talk about why sleep matters. We're going to talk about understanding sleep architecture. So really get into the definition of the pattern of the phases of sleep. We're going to talk about some sleep hygiene that you can adopt and also some smart tools or smart techs that helps with sleep. And lastly, some disruptors. What are your sleep disruptors? How to identify it, how to fix it. So this episode is jam-packed. First off, why does sleep matters? Well, it matters because it affects your hormone. You can have hormonal imbalances when your sleep is not optimized. Your immune function can be affected as well. Your metabolism is affected with poor sleep. Your memory is needed. You have to sleep to get good memory and good cognition. And then your skin health, your skin quality, all of that is tied into sleep, and you cannot underestimate your sleep at any given time. So chronic sleep deprivation increases your risk of diabetes, cardiovascular disease. So if you're not resting, you are at risk of all these health conditions. So rest, sleep improves chronic diseases. So those two go hand in hand. So your beauty and your longevity are married. So you cannot ignore one and continue with the other. Absolutely not. So let's talk about understanding sleep. And let's really break down into non-REM sleep. Non-REM sleep accounts for about 80% of your sleep pattern. And REM sleep accounts for about 25% of your sleep pattern. Let's break down the two. Non-REM sleep is divided into 3 stages. You have your light sleep, your true sleep, and your deep or slow wave. So in your light sleep, this is the bridge between being alert, awake, and trying to fall asleep. So at this point, your muscle activity slows down, your eyes become slowly relaxed, and you're kind of ease into this phase of sleep. You're easily disturbed during this stage as well, and you might feel like you're drifting away, starting to go, but you're not there yet. And then in stage 2, which is your true sleep, this happens when your body temperature drops. So you get cooler, your heart rate goes down, and your breathing slows down as well. Your brainwaves start showing that typical sleep spindles or the K complexes that you see during sleep monitoring. So this is where you really get into the jam of being asleep. And then you go into your third stage. This is the third stage of your non-REM sleep cycle. This is the most restorative sleep phase. Let me repeat the word restorative. I know my pronunciation may confuse anyone. Restorative. So that's being restored. This is the restoring phase of sleep. All right. What is happening here? Your blood pressure drops even further. Your tissue growth, your repair occurs at this phase. Your immune function strengthens and your human growth hormone is also released. So this is where repair of your body happens. If you have injury, you're resting, this all happen in stage 3 of your non-REM sleep, okay? Your immune resilience goes up. So again, the phase is restoring or restorative, as I mentioned earlier. Once you get out of your stage 3, you go into your REM cycle. And the REM cycle, this is about 25% of your sleep, entire cycle. And REM usually occurs the first 90 minutes of when you fall asleep. And it lengthens with each cycle. What does that mean? When you go to sleep at night, you have rotation between your non-REM and REM 4 to 6 times at night. So as you're rotating, the REM cycle goes longer with each rotation. So by the time you reach 6 time, the REM cycle is even longer. Okay, that's what all that means. Another thing that's happening during your REM cycle is that, or the REM sleep, is that your brain becomes more active, and it is as active as you're awake. Just think of it as you're driving down I-45 if you live in Houston, and everybody's going at 90 miles per hour. That is what is happening in your REM sleep. Your brain is going as fast, you're dreaming. And the paradoxical analogy is that when all of this is happening in your brain, your body is like paralyzed. It is just there. It doesn't move, it doesn't engage with all this exciting movement going on in your sleep while you're dreaming. That is your REM, and your heart rate goes up, your breathing goes up. Another interesting in your REM sleep is that if you are disrupted in this part of your sleep cycle, you tend to be moody and groggy the next day, so you don't feel as rested. So REM sleep is really important for you to feel rested. And that is your sleep cycle. So it goes from non-REM sleep with the 3 stages that I mentioned to your REM sleep, and then it repeats itself. So it's like a loop. And this loop will happen 4 to 6 times throughout the night as you sleep. Now let's define the word circadian rhythm. This is your body's internal 24-hour clock, and this is regulated by the nucleus of your hypothalamus. It basically orchestrates how you feel alert and how you feel very drowsy and sleepy, and it aligns with environmental cues like light. So how does light influence your sleep? Well, in the morning, when sunlight hits your eyes, your nucleus of your hypothalamus is triggered, and it's triggered for your body to respond as if you're awake. So you start feeling alert. That's in the morning. At nighttime, darkness and the cues that it gives to your brain is that it should increase melatonin. And melatonin makes you sleepy and drowsy. So that's how light affects our sleep pattern. Artificial light, like blue lights from our phone, our TV, our smart devices, this can actually confuse our nucleus of the hypothalamus in delaying melatonin release. So you may think that you're still alert, but really you're not. So when you're falling asleep at night, you have your phone, you're looking at it, or you have your tablet or TV on, your circadian rhythm is confused. It's not sure if it's nighttime because you have all the stimulus going to your brain and disrupting the nucleus of your hypothalamus. And that would disrupt your natural sleep onset pattern. That's why you hear, if you're a child listening to this or an adult parent, I'm sure you tell your kids, turn off your phone before you go to bed so that you can rest. Turn off your phone. Don't do anything disruptive. And if you have younger ones and you raise children, you know that you always want to give them a bedtime routine, a pattern, because all of that it's important in their sleep cycle, and give them optimization that's good for their metabolism and growth. And there's a lot of truth in what you tell your children, right? Sleep so that you can grow. Well, there's a lot of truth to that because it's exactly what happens when you sleep. Let's talk a little bit about common disruptors. Well, actually, I want to pause on that. I'll come to that later because I think it's a very excellent topic. Now that I've covered sleep architecture, going into details about the REM and non-REM sleep, let's talk about sleep hygiene. We're going to talk about that, and then we'll go to sleep disruptor. Sleep hygiene is basically rituals that you do that matters and improve your sleep quality. The most important thing is to create a wind down routine. You want to train your body to be consistent. The same bedtime, reduce screen time, dim the light, take a warm bath. You can even use some products like Dr. Teal or things that can kind of soothe you into falling asleep. You do some reading, some journaling. All of that helps calms you and can really help you with your sleep. And then your bedroom, there's just some things you can do. Keep the light dark, have your curtain all the way down to block light. Keep the temperature cool because a cool temperature helps with sleeping, and decrease the noise and just have calmness around you. That's very good sleep hygiene patterns. All right. And then, stop eating, I would say about 2 or 3 hours before you fall asleep. This is not healthy. If you can avoid that, that's very important. Avoid alcohol and caffeine too close to your bedtime, and also supplements that can help with sleep. This is not a medical advice, but your melatonin, magnesium, glycinate, and L-theanine. This helps with sleep. And so these are some things that you can use. And again, it's your sleep hygiene or routine and rituals that you create to optimize your sleep. Now, let's talk about sleep disruptors. These are things that will disrupt your sleep and not give you quality of life. Number one, blue light exposure. Blue light wavelength is 460 nanometers, and it inhibits melatonin production. As I've mentioned, melatonin is the hormone that helps with sleep. And so if you are looking at your phone when you're in your bed, trying to go to bed, watching TV on your smart devices, that blue light is disrupting the nucleus of your hypothalamus. So therefore, your body doesn't produce melatonin, which definitely affects your ability to fall asleep. So this is a sleep disruptor. And this kind of tricks your brain into thinking that it's daytime when it's actually nighttime. The solution? Well, use blue light blockers on your phone, or turn off your phone and put it on night mode, or just don't use your phone, or don't use your smart device or the television. That's a solution, very easy. Another disruptor of sleep is caffeine, as I mentioned earlier, but let's get more into it. Caffeine blocks adenosine. Adenosine is a neurotransmitter that your body produces, and it builds up sleep pressure throughout the day. So adenosine kind of builds your body, leading it up to nighttime so you can go to sleep, and caffeine disrupt that. Caffeine has the half-life of 5 to 7 hours, and it's best practice to avoid caffeine, I would say, about 6 hours before you fall asleep. And that is important because, again, that disruption is removed and you can fall asleep nicely. And if you put that into perspective, if you're a coffee drinker, so that means you should stop drinking coffee about 3 p.m. in a day. So 3 p.m., no more coffee. That way you can fall asleep well at night because, again, you want to wait 6 hours before going to sleep after consuming caffeine. All right. Another disruptor of sleep is inconsistent sleep schedule. What does this mean? You're going to bed at a different time, you're waking up at a different time, and that throws off your circadian rhythm. Remember, your circadian rhythm is your internal 24-hour clock. And when you do that, it doesn't know whether you're coming or going, and that's not good for you. This is where I'll give you my personal story as a confession of a former busy obstetrician. In my private practice, when I was in the peak of the obstetric part of my practice, I would deliver upwards of 28, 30, sometimes 35 babies a month. How did I do it? I don't know. But I did it. Number one, I would say I was a spring chicken, right? So I was like in my east, and sleep and I were exactly best friend. I could function with 2, maybe 3 hours of sleep at night, and I would go as if nothing had happened. So all I needed was 2 or 3 hours at some point in a 24-hour window, and I could go the entire time. My body became used to this disruption. My mind, everything just fall in line. But here's the long-term sequelae of that. I used to joke in my 30s and say that obstetrician has aged me, where I feel like I'm in my 50s, although I'm only in my kids. And there was a lot of truth to that because I was working 24/7 as a solo obstetrician. It was 100% my choice. I loved every minute of it, and I will not change any minute of it because I truly enjoy that. But the long term sequelae of that type of lifestyle is that it aged me, and I felt the aging process by having very little to no sleep. I was high functioning, and yes, I was sleep deprived, but at the moment, I didn't see it as such. It's only now in my late 40s, if I should say, that when I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, who is that woman? I do not recognize her. I am so, my hat's off to her because she doesn't exist in me today, but she did back then. And I'm so proud of her, but she doesn't exist at this very moment. All right. So those are the disruptors of sleep. Those are the common disruptor of sleep that I have. Now let's go to smart tech devices. You know, we live in a moment where there are so many options to tell us whether we're sleeping well or we're sleeping poorly, how to monitor our sleep. And these gadgets and toys, they're amazing. Use it, but be wise using it. I don't want you to rely on these things and then kind of it interferes with you just having fun in life. Okay, so don't be married to it. What are some of these smart tech devices? Well, you have smart mattresses. There's a Tempur-Pedic with cooling control. That's a smart mattress. You have 8 Sleep. And then for your tracking wearable devices, there are a couple of them out there. You have your Oura Ring, your Apple Watch, your Whoop. Those things are good. They can tell you if you're getting enough sleep or the quality of your sleep and where you can improve. And then you have data tracking devices. That tracks your sleep cycle, your heart rate, your variability, and it can tell you insights about your long-term wellness. Now, the important thing, as I mentioned, is not to get so caught up in some of this data summary and insights to the point where you actually forget to just enjoy the process of living and not getting obsessed over it. But there are all these things, and that's important for sleep optimization and use it wisely. Now, let's talk about some natural sleep disruptors. So, what I spoke about earlier were things that externally can disrupt your sleep, but let's talk about natural disruptor. Well, number one, perimenopause and menopause. We know this is a sleep disruptor because your hormone imbalance that goes on. And I can personally testify to that because I'm perimenopause. Yay. I know a thing or two about this. Stress is a natural sleep disruptor. So trying to minimize stress in your life so that your sleep optimization is improved. Nighttime anxiety, that goes hand in hand with stress. Want to decrease that, decrease screen overload, that is a natural disruptor of sleep. And then traveling, being jet lagged and not getting proper rest when you travel, whether it's for job or for leisure or for business, that can affect your sleep as well. And so you can have things like melatonin, grounding, sunlight exposure to kind of help optimize your sleep. Whenever in doubt, you can consult a sleep specialist. A sleep specialist can be in the form of a neurologist, even an ENT doctor, but you can always start with your family physician or your internal medicine physician if you have any concerns about your sleep and your sleep pattern or optimizing your sleep. Now, I'm going to end this podcast by asking you one question. If you could give your younger self one piece of sleep advice, what would it be? And has your relationship with rest evolved over time? I want you to think about this, audience, about this question and answer it for yourself. I'm going to answer it out loud to you guys. Number one, if I could give myself one piece of advice about sleep, I would say that looking back, the circumstances that evolved your sleep pattern was a necessity to be where you are today. So it was neither a bad thing or a good thing. It was a necessary step for you to be where you are today, which is really appreciative of sleep and prioritizing sleep like it's a skincare. Right now, as I speak to you guys, I love my sleep. By 10 o'clock, I am wind down. I really like to be in bed before 11. And I like to wake up early in the morning, 5 a.m., and go to the gym and work out till about 7, do my sauna, and then I head to the office, shower, head to the office. That is the routine that works best for me now. And that's because one, where I am in my career with less of the obstetric work, more of the gynecology, and definitely more of the cosmetic surgery, I don't have to wake up in the middle of the night and deliver babies or catch a baby at 2 a.m., sleep for 15 minutes, catch a baby at 4 a.m. I am not in that phase of my life. So my sleep pattern, it is so much better now. When I was younger, it wasn't, but it was a necessity. So I will not give myself any advice to do it differently because it was necessary to be a fantastic obstetrician that I believe I was to my patients. But now that I'm less in that space, I love sleep, and I hope you do too.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for listening. Video recording of this episode will be featured on our YouTube channel, Dr. Daisy Ayim. We are also found on Instagram at Polish Beauty Podcast or at Dr. Daisy Ayim. Remember, a new episode drop every Wednesday, so stay tuned. Please like, share, follow.